Good evening and welcome to A Child's Point of View. My name is Jalen. This is my co-host, Mr. Allen, and I will start opening up with prayer. May everybody bow their heads, please. God, if we did anything unpleasing to you, please forgive us. We ask you to bless each and every one of us. We ask you to bless us with the things that we need. We ask you to bless the ones that don't have anything. We ask you to bless them with shelter, food, clothing, and we pray that they survive. And we also ask you to continue blessing Minister Guy in many ways and give her the strength that she needs to continue the program. We also ask you for safe travel and mercies, and as we are going home, everyone will be safe. We ask you to keep on waking us up every morning. We thank you for every breath and second of the day that you give us. We also ask you that everyone will do a good job, and we also ask that everyone will be on their best behaviors and through the rest of the day. And we also ask you that everybody has a good night. Amen.
Amen. Well, good evening to A Child's Point of View. And this is our June show. And I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves. We have some really terrific guests this evening. And I think you're going to find their professions and their stories extremely interesting. So without any further ado, Miss Diana.
Hi, my name is Diana Bramble. I'm the Executive Director of Operations of Madison Adoption Associates in Wilmington, Delaware. We're licensed in 4 states, and we focus on adoption placements, getting into foster care, helping kids, and humanitarian aid.
How you doing? My name is Nelson Guy. I originally had a heart transplant, and I see a big difference. I can do everything that I've been doing, and it's a blessing. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Terry Cutler, and I am the office manager for MedExpress Urgent Care in Newcastle, Delaware. And we are a walk-in clinic that sees people from the community for illness and or injury.
Okay, that's a great lineup. Now we're going to start with asking our children's panel to introduce themselves, and then we'll take it from there.
Hi, I'm Michelle Wolf from Castle Hills Elementary School.
Hi, my name is Addison Adams, and I'm a freshman at Hampton University.
Hi, my name is Anthony Newman, and I'm from Stop the Violence Prayer Chain Foundation. And
Hi, my name is Savannah, and I'm from Stop the Violence Prayer Chain Foundation, and I'm 9.
Okay. Well, we're going to start with asking our children's panel some questions, and I'll start, and I'll throw this first question out to Addison. What in particular is something that you would really enjoy doing over this summer before you go back to school?
Well, currently I am working. I have an internship here at Channel 28, and I also have a job as well, but I would really enjoy traveling this summer. I would like to take some little bitty trips to the beach and aquarium, but I'd also like to travel outside of the state as well.
And what particular country do you think you'd like to visit first if you had the opportunity?
Well, I actually want to go to the Caribbean, go to Dominican Republic. That would probably be my first go-to.
That sounds terrific. Okay, does anyone ask a question of the children's panel?
Okay, so I'd just love to hear a little bit about you guys so we can get to know you, and I'd love to know your favorite thing about your family.
Well, me and my family like to travel, and since I've been up in Delaware, I've been doing Stop the Violence Prayer Chain Foundation, and I like it.
I like playing football and going to the park a lot, and that's it.
So I just like spending time with my family and my friends and doing fun stuff that we're able to just create memories together.
Would it be okay if I ask a panelist a question?
Sure.
So Ms. Cutler,
Yes.
how does MedExpress help the community in Newcastle?
MedExpress is a walk-in urgent care center. You don't need an appointment to come in. We see people for many things, illnesses, cold and flu season, it's very busy. We see for injuries, people fall and cut themselves or break a bone, that type of thing. So very busy.
Thank you.
I have a question for Ms. Bramble. Ms. Bramble, how do you show and demonstrate leadership skills in your career?
I think it's a good question. I would say that most importantly, I try to lead by example. I try to motivate people. I think in any business that your staff is absolutely your most important resource, because if you don't have good people around you that are hard workers and passionate about what they're doing, you know, you're not going to have people, you can have all the work in the world, but you're not going to have anybody to help you, you know, carry that out. So being honest, having integrity, working hard, you know, if something needs to be done, it's not that I'm not going to do it because my title is this or her title is this. We all are a team, and you know, we work together for our mission, and we all just dig in and get our hands dirty and get the job done.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I got a question for Miss Bramble. Why do you like helping kids?
Well, lots of reasons I like helping kids. Just look at you guys. So you guys are just great and fun, and there's a lot of kids in this world that don't have the opportunities that every child deserves. They don't have families that every child deserves, and you know, if everybody does just a little bit and a small part and does something that they're good at and that they're passionate about, I think the world could be a much, much better place for all of us.
I have a question for Miss Cutler. What does a normal day look like for you?
That's a very good question, because we're urgent care. My day is different every day. I never know what's going to happen when I get to work in the morning. I start out my day by meeting with my staff, and I kind of have a real quick meeting with them just to make sure everybody's got what they need to get going for the day, make sure everybody's there. Then I meet with my doctors to see if they have any needs. From there, we greet the patients, spend time with them, make sure that we're providing the best service to them. They don't feel well when they come in, or they're hurt and in pain, so it's very important that I spend time with them, making them feel better. From there, I'm on the phone a lot. I have a lot of meetings. It's a very busy day, and every day is different.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a question from one of our panelists. I'm going to ask Mr. Guy Nelson, what it was like to be transplanted. I'm actually a potential recipient, not for a heart transplant, but for a kidney transplant. And I've been reading about it and so forth, but I imagine it's significantly different than having a heart transplant. Did you know who the donor was, and how did you feel like before and now, like what the differences are?
I know who the donor is now, but at that time I didn't know. They called me, I guess it was about 10 o'clock on March the 7th, and asked me could I get up there within a half an hour.
Wow.
Up University of Penn. So, and asked me did I want to accept this heart. They had a match. So I said sure. So I went on and got up there. They prepared me that next morning, 5, yeah. And I went into surgery. I was out, I guess, around 11 o'clock. And everything went well.
What I think is amazing is your recovery time. Because my mother recently had open heart surgery just to repair, not even replace, repair a valve. And I know how incapacitated she was for some period of time.
Right.
And from what I understand is your recovery time was really
Oh,
quite
yeah.
expeditious.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
was-
quick.
I was, I went in March 7th. The next morning, March 8th, I had the surgery. The 17th, I was home.
That's incredible. Good
Yeah.
for you. God bless.
Yeah.
That is such a blessing.
Every day I was walking, dragging the poles up and down the hall,
Right.
and
yeah.
they seen I was doing pretty good, so
Right.
that's why I had
And do you, can you do pretty much everything that you want to do now? With
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, exercise and so forth.
exercise, everything.
That's fabulous.
Yep.
Well, God bless. Congratulations with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have a question for Mr. Guy. So I know that we talked about the recovery time being pretty quick. So if someone sustains an injury, they normally do some sort of physical therapy or something to get better. So was there any like certain exercises or trainings that you had to do
Oh, yeah.
after you had your transplant?
Yes, they would want you to go to the heart cardiologist rehab, and depends how you do in there. Some people takes maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and some people it takes like maybe 4. So,
Thank you.
and they grade you while you're in there.
Mm.
And they send the report to your doctor, and he gets the report, and they start cutting your medicine,
Okay.
because you had to take 25 to 30 different pills a day. Yeah, a lot of pills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down to around about 10.
Wow.
About 10.
And will that continue to diminish, or will you always have to
Uh,
have some sort of?
You will always have to take the rejection medicine,
Okay.
because you got a foreign thing in your body. Your body rejects it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you always have to take that.
Interesting. Thank you.
Mhm.
And my understanding, not to just keep, but it's interesting to me. My understanding is that you even have to make some dietary changes, because I
Oh,
understand
yes,
that if
yes.
I
Most
get
definitely.
transplanted, I can't eat grapefruits or grapefruit juice
That's
or
right.
things that will then hurt the anti-rejection medicine.
Right,
Because,
right.
and if you're not careful with that, that's one of the biggest
Yep.
concerns, is making sure that medicine's working all the time.
Right, right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. Questions? Yeah.
So, Mr. Sparrow, you mentioned that you were also on this list. So when are you looking to possibly?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on a different list. My situation is a kidney situation, and the way that it works for people that are in need of a kidney transplant is the first day that you go on to dialysis, you get put on a national register. And normally it takes probably somewhere in I'll say, if you're fortunate, 3 years, but most of the time it's between a 5 and 7 year wait period, okay, which is pretty significant. So what the doctors and nurses at your dialysis center really talk to you about and try to ingrain, in your psyche, if you will, is to try to find a living donor. If you're on the National Register, most of the time, the donors, it'll be what's called a cadaver donor, where somebody suffered an accident, and then they're an organ transplant on their driver's license. They say they're an organ donor, so their organs get donated to people that are in need. And I would tell the viewing audience that it is really probably it's really no difficult thing to be an organ donor after you're no longer here, because truth be known, once we're not here, you probably don't really need your organs, but there are living people that could utilize them.
Right,
So
right.
I would say that in cases like myself and Mr. Guy, we're the beneficiaries potentially of donors, whether they're people that are no longer with us or living, and it gives us a chance at having a normal lifespan as well.
Correct.
So I'm fortunate. I do have a potential donor that's a compatible physical match with me. It's an old friend of mine that I've known for many years, and she's undergoing the final stages of testing to make sure she's healthy enough to be a donor. And if she is healthy enough to be a donor, then I think we're going to try to schedule a transplant procedure at some point in hopefully August or September. So
That's
my
amazing.
fingers are crossed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yep, good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you, Nelson.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I have a question. I have a question for all of you. What is your favorite? I mean, what are you guys gonna do over the summer and why?
Good, Terry.
Well, I just moved back to Delaware in December. I moved here from St. Louis, Missouri. I have a house to sell, so I will be taking a couple of trips back to St. Louis and try to sell my house. It's not a lot of fun, but something necessary.
Yeah, well, me myself, I try to stay as busy as possible because it seemed like I had more energy than I ever had.
Mm.
So I'm always on the go, you know, and I like going to the parks, me and my dog. I like doing all different types of work, jobs. And I guess that's what I'll be doing all summer.
I have a lot going on this summer. I was actually in Columbia in January, and I met lots of kids that are awesome and smart and sweet, and 30 of them are going to come over here to the United States this summer for a vacation. And the whole point of that program, it's called the Hosting Vacation Program. They come over here and they stay in families and they learn what it's like to be part of a family and to have a mom and a dad and brothers and sisters and learn English and learn our culture and all these fun things and get to have fun and play. So our agency's been working really hard to bring those kids over and get the families ready to welcome those kids. And then I'm also going to some conferences. I'm going to the Little People of America conference, and I'm going to talk about adoption there because there's lots of children that have types of dwarfism that are available to adopt. So I'm so excited to go there. And I'm also going, we have an office in Illinois. So I'm going to go visit staff out there. So I'm going to take my kids to some of these trips too. So they get to travel with me. They get to be the little ambassadors of adoption. So I'll get to spend time with my kids, one or two at a time as well. So I have 4 of them, so it's kind of hard to leave them. So yeah, fun.
Can I just follow up
Of
with
course,
that? On that
yeah.
host family event that's coming up, is that a prelude to these kids potentially becoming adopted with the families that they stay with? I mean, are they all interested families that are looking maybe for children?
It's both.
Okay.
So the purpose and, we're not trying to have people, pick or
Right.
but these are all children that are available, that are legally free for adoption. And it's an experience for them to come over here and see if, they do want to be adopted and again, what a family looks like. Because some of them have been in institutions and orphanages and, they don't know what it's like to have a mom or a dad and be part of a family. So yeah, they are going to come over here. We have probably half and half families. A lot of families are interested in potentially adopting these children.
Right.
And then other families are advocate families. But we have to make sure that all the families that, we follow all the guidelines so
Right.
everybody's
Imagine.
safe. And so, it's a good fit if they were to fall in love with a child,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's a lot of moving parts.
And let me ask, if I'm not mistaken, you've adopted,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Tell
Okay.
us about that.
Yep. So I have 4 children, and 2 are biological. That means I carried them, and 2 are adopted from China. And they were called waiting children in China, which means they had some sort of special need. My daughter, because she had been in an orphanage, she hadn't had school like we go to school, so she just needed a little bit of extra attention to get in a family so she could, get right up to speed, and my son is actually missing his left hand. So he was born without a hand. But God makes everybody perfect, and he was on the all-star baseball team. He hit a double and a triple this year. He was pitching. He rock climbs. He's my hero.
It's amazing.
So it's really, really amazing. And, you know, potential for everybody, for every child is unlimited. And anything that you guys set your minds to, you can accomplish it. You just have to keep trying and work hard.
That's right.
Yeah.
And my summer plans, and thank you for that, because I think it's such an awesome story, to be
Thank
honest
you.
with you.
Yep.
I'm very blessed.
My summer plans are, good Lord willing, it doesn't sound like a great thing, but for me it would be an awesome thing, is to hopefully follow through on that particular transplant situation and then move on from there. So normally we visit my wife's family and over in England, but I think we're going to forego that this year in the hopes that this actually happens. So we'll turn the tables now and turn it over to Jayla. Okay.
I have a question for all of our guests. If you could change one thing in the past, what would it be?
Oh boy, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We have to confess our regrets.
I'll go first. I have 2 sons, and I was older when I had my first son, and I think I probably would have started a family when I was younger. I think that's probably the biggest thing I would have changed.
Me, myself, I would just change far as schooling. I think I would have went on to college instead of this graduating and, you know, start going to work. I should have went to college. That's what I would change.
It's never too late.
Very true.
No, it's never too late.
Never too late. So I strongly believe that even the worst things in life, there can be beauty in them and there can be an opportunity. But if the one thing that I struggle with is when people are unkind to others, because we're all, one people and brothers and sisters, and we're all on this planet together. And
All God's children.
yeah, I would just wish that people would be kind to each other and not have wars and violence and racism and sexism and everything like that.
Yep, I agree.
I have another question for all of you. What is your favorite book and why?
I can go with that. I know.
Okay, I'll start. As far as pleasure reading is concerned, I like the J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and the 4-book series. I actually I only saw one of the movies, but to be honest with you, I read those 4 volumes, which each book is probably a 400-page book or so. I probably read them 4 times when I was in my teens.
So my favorite book, there's a book called White Oleander, and it's about a little girl who was in foster care, and all the things that happened to her that were bad and tragic, and how she ended up doing great things. And there's another book that's more of a clinical book called The Connected Child, and it was written by Dr. Karen Purvis, who unfortunately has passed, but it's a methodology of how to deal with children that have had bad things happen to them, that every child can be helped no matter what.
Hey, well, when I do read, I read the Bible.
It's a good book.
I'm not a big reader as far as stories and books like that. I like to read animals, about animals, different kind of animals. That's what I like to read.
My favorite book is the Bible because I believe that it is instructional for us to live our lives.
Yep.
There's history in it. It's just a wonderful book. If you haven't had the opportunity, please read.
Well, I have a question for all of our guests again. If you have children, would you be afraid for them to grow up with all the violence in the world?
Well, I had children, but they grown. They all grown. So, you worry about your grandkids now. So.
I think it is a scary world, but I think that there's a lot of beauty that people maybe don't focus on. And I think if we all try to focus on the good things and all the good things that happen, and nobody can do everything, nobody can save everyone, but everyone can do something. And if everybody does something and uses their God-given gifts and their passion, they could make the world a much better place. So it is scary, but I have a lot of hope.
I don't know what to say after that, Diane. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I got a question for Ms. Cutler. What is your biggest responsibility?
My biggest responsibility at work? Making sure that all of our patients are well taken care of, that they have everything that they need, that they feel better when they leave. We can't cure them right on the spot, but we can make sure that they're feeling better when they leave and on the right path. That's the most important.
And why is that your biggest responsibility?
Because it's my job to make sure that everyone that comes into that urgent care center gets the proper care that they need so that they can be on the path to recovery and much better health.
I'm sorry, honey. What was the question again? I'm sorry. I couldn't really.
Your biggest responsibility.
My biggest I'm sorry. My biggest responsibility. I would say that my biggest responsibility in terms of what I do is just leading a team that everybody does their part and trying to inspire them because, like I said, it's not about me, and I'm. I might have a certain title, but I have the best people in the world that I work with, and they're phenomenal, and I'm very lucky to have them, and my job is just to inspire them and help them do what they do best. So.
My biggest responsibility is trying to do this diet, because I'm so used to eating whatever I want to eat, but once you have a transplant, you got to be on this diet, and it's hard. All the cakes and ice creams and all the good stuff, you got to slow down on. So that's my biggest responsibility, trying to maintain that.
And my biggest responsibility, don't really know much about what I do, but I'm involved in real estate and so forth, leasing real estate and so forth. So my responsibility is to make sure that our clientele are happy, well taken care of, and very satisfied with their facilities and so forth. And similarly, I have to also inspire the people around me to do the right things and so forth. Okay, let me thank our panel, and we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back in a few minutes with the second half of A Child's Point of View.
My experience with the campers in the culinary camp was exciting. Every day was something new. The kids brought their creative energies to the kitchen, and they got to explore different cooking methods, food safety.
basketball camp overall was crazy. It was fun. The atmosphere was amazing. I enjoyed it. The kids enjoyed it.
I think the main focus is probably just to increase excitement towards the sport of field hockey. Lots of fun and games of all sorts, not just field hockey.
They look forward to, like I said, a great week of soccer, meeting some of the high school players, and get them introduced to the sport, and for the people that already have played the game to enhance their skills and improve them.
Camps will be at William Penn. We're going to be using William Penn indoor facilities and outdoor facilities throughout the month of July. Camps are going to be starting in July, the first week of July. The Colonial website has all the information that you need to know about camps.
Okay, welcome back to A Child's Point of View. I would like to introduce a new panel member and guest on the show tonight, our Newcastle County Executive, Mr. Matt Meyer. Welcome.
Thank
Matt.
you.
How are you?
A very nervous guest.
With all the people you've got to get in front of.
I don't know. Child's Point of View, the question is my second time here. The questions are a little tougher in this room.
Yeah, okay. All right. Panel, you would like to start asking questions? Miss Addison?
Yes, so since County Executive Meyer just came in, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
My name is Matt Meyer. I'm the County Executive for Newcastle County. I was a school teacher, 6th and 7th grade teacher, grew up here in Wilmington, and ran for office 2 years ago for the first time in my life. First time since I ran for 11th grade student council. When I ran 11th grade, nobody thought I had a chance. Teachers told me, don't run, don't waste your time. You're not going to win. I won. So when I started running 2 years ago and everybody said, Matt, you don't have a chance. You're running against someone who's a 3-term incumbent. You can't win in Delaware. I said, oh, I remember what Miss Smolko told me, years ago. And I ran and I was successful. I'm now taking a lot of those skills, experiences of being a teacher into elected leadership. I'm kind of like the mayor of Newcastle County. We have Newcastle County Police, which is the second largest police department in the state, 386 very fine women and men who are serving you every single day. We have 114 paramedics, the largest paramedic service in the state, the largest 911 emergency communication center in the state, 247 parks, 15 libraries, and the largest sewer system in the state, all out there trying to serve you better. So it's great to be here, and I'm excited to see, and nervous to see what questions you ask.
Thank you. And I also have a question for all of the panelists. When you all were children, like they are, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay. I wasn't sure. I think I wanted to be something different every year. My dad was a teacher, and I loved watching him, and I thought about teaching. Then I wanted to be a doctor, and then an astronaut, and then my mom, when I was probably in grade school, started the adoption agency where I work now because she wanted to find a way to help children that didn't have moms and dads. So she started the organization Madison Adoption Associates, and then I decided, you know what, I want to be like my mom when I grow up. So I got lucky and fell into it.
Well, me, myself, I wanted to be explore different things, different types of insects and animals and stuff like that. I wanted to be a veterinarian, and as I got a little older, I changed my mind. So that's about all I thought of when I was little, like that.
When I was really little, probably younger than you guys are, I wanted to be a lawyer. And my mom always said I had a big argument for everything, and she thought I would be great at it. So I thought about it, and then I decided, no, that's not really it. My mom is a nurse, and she was a nurse, became a nurse, I guess, when I was, I maybe 3rd or 4th, 5th grade, that age. So she loved it, and I'm a nurse today. I've been a nurse for a long time.
I wanted to be two things when I was a kid. First, I wanted to be a baseball player, but then on my baseball team in about 10th grade, I learned I couldn't hit a curveball, and that was the end of that dream. But for much of my childhood, I really wanted to be a firefighter because I thought being a firefighter was exciting. Every day you go to work, there's something exciting and new. And every day you go to work, you're helping people. You're helping people to live another day, and I thought that would be a really exciting career.
When I was younger, I thought that I'd like to be a professional tennis player, and I put a lot of time into tennis and got to a certain level. And when you get to a certain level and you really see how good the really good people are, I came to grips with the fact that I always had a love for business. My father was involved in business and so forth, and therefore, at an early age, I worked in some of the companies that he had developed and learned them from the ground up, and really have enjoyed every day of being associated with our family businesses. So.
I have a question for Mr. Matt Myers. When you say you used to be a teacher, can you tell us about your experience?
Sure. I initially started teaching right after college through a program called Teach for America, where what they do is they say, you say, I'll teach, and I'll teach anywhere in the country. You find a school that most desperately needs teachers, and we'll send you there. And I taught 4th grade in a school in the Anacostia section of Washington, D.C. The school was actually closed twice by a judge because the roof was collapsing. They didn't have money to take care of the basic needs of the school. And so you can imagine, if that were the case, what kind of resources we had in terms of books, computers, things like that. I didn't think it was acceptable. I went around and started to beg to all my friends, everyone I knew, for resources. And by the time I finished teaching there, every classroom in the school had 3 donated computers, which back when I was a little younger was a lot of computers for a classroom. It's always been very important to me that everyone in our country and everyone in our county deserves an equal opportunity to get an excellent education. And that means equal opportunity to access resources like computers and the latest, greatest technologies. You know, now they say the CEO of IBM, which is one of the largest corporations in the world, she says, and it's a woman, the CEO says that for kids going into kindergarten this fall, who are starting school this fall, by the time they graduate high school in 12 years, 13 years, 50%, half of the jobs that are available today won't be available. The jobs that will be out there will be new jobs. So it was always really important to me as a teacher, and it's really important to me now that we make sure schools are equipped with the facilities and the skill sets to teach kids the jobs of tomorrow, not just the jobs that are there today.
So, Mr. Meyer, since you grew up in Delaware and you have been a teacher, one of my questions was, how do you think education has changed? So I know you talked a little bit about how our job force is changing and therefore the skill set that we need is changing. So is there anything else specific with education in our programs that you would like to see in Delaware?
So, you know, education, I first taught, not to get my age out there, but I first taught in 1996. And education has changed quite a bit. I think that good schools, there were great schools 200, 300 years ago in this country and across the world, and there weren't electricity in those schools. They were about building community and making everybody feel welcome and making everybody feel part of a community, making sure that kids weren't what we call now bullied. And in some ways, you look at our schools now, not just here in the county and the state, but across the country, and in spite of all the technology and all the training and the tremendous resources that go into schools, they're really, in some ways, not as good as they were, you know, centuries ago. And that's sad. So I think it's very important that every school needs to be a community. There's so much emphasis on testing and academic achievement and making it and going to college, and that's important, but it's also important that kids who aren't good at math, aren't the best at English, that they still feel a part of that community. In terms of my belief about what we need to do better here in Delaware with schools, if I were in charge of education in the state, I would prioritize more than anything recruiting and retaining the best possible principals that we can have. I've never seen a principal who recruit a great principal in a bad school, and I've never seen a bad principal in a good school. So I think we really need to focus on the people who are in the school, how we get good principals and good teachers in schools to teach our kids.
What kind of hobbies or after-school activities did you participate in when you were in school? What kind of activities or after-school activities did you participate in? Yeah.
Okay, so I can start. I always played sports. I was on the swim team every summer, and I played softball. And I tried to play some other sports, but wasn't really good enough. I also did color guard, which is, some people call it band front. It's the flags that, kind of perform with the band, and that was probably my favorite thing in high school. And I did lots of musicals and chorale, and I think anything that people do, I think, having the activities and being involved as in part of a team and a sports team, it builds character and leadership and learning that, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and that's life, and you pick up your bootstraps and you go on the next day. So there's a lot of really, really good lessons in sports. So.
Yeah, I liked it, track and wrestling. That's what I mostly did after school. And, I really liked being on the co-op. If you had good grades, what I mean by co-op is you work 2 weeks and go to school 2 weeks, and that's what I did.
I wasn't really into sports when I was in school. I sang in the school choir, mostly through elementary school and middle school. Was very involved with church outside of school activities. Spent a lot of time in church, Wednesday evening, Sunday school, church programs.
I really spent a lot of time playing baseball and basketball when I was a kid. When I was a little older in college, I was part of a program where during our vacations, like spring break, when a lot of my classmates would go and have fun, we brought together a group and we go somewhere in the country that was in trouble, like where there was a hurricane. There was a hurricane in South Carolina when I was in college. I think it was Hurricane Hugo, and we all got in a van. We drove down to South Carolina and spent a week rebuilding houses of people that lost their houses. So that's probably the most rewarding thing and something that really had an impression on me, and I remember to this day.
Why are those hobbies or activities, why do you do them? Like, why did you like doing them?
Well, can I ask you a question? What do you like to do for fun?
Football.
Football?
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's fun and it's rough.
You play with your friends? Yeah. Do you feel part of a team?
Yes.
How do you feel when you score?
I feel excited.
Excited? And you take that excitement and can inspire you to do other things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you do for fun?
I did cheerleading, and I like it because I get to learn new stuff every day.
Awesome.
So when I was in high school and when I was younger, I was in dance. I've been dancing since I was 7. In middle school, I did competitive cheerleading, and as well as in high school, I was on the track and field team.
Why?
Why did I participate in all those sports?
Yeah.
Well, for dance, for one, I always used to dance around the house, and so my parents got tired of me and they were like, you know what, we're putting you in dance class. And then I started watching a lot of cheer competitions, and I thought that would be interesting. And I tried it out, and I loved cheering. And along with cheering, I got to dance while I was cheering as well. So that was another factor into why I liked those two sports. And I tried track out because I wanted to try something new, and I ended up liking it. You get to meet new people all throughout the state and make new friends. So those were the three sports that I did, and I enjoyed my time while participating in all three.
Let me ask Addison, with that cheering, was that the kind of thing where they, like build human sort of blocks and get on top of each other and that kind of stuff? Did you do some of that?
Yep, I was thrown in the air.
I think that is scary, to be honest with you. I give people credit that do that. The person at the very top of that thing is pretty much up about 15 feet.
Yep, I had to get thrown in the air. It was scary. There were some injuries, but we made it work.
Yeah. That's neat. Thank you.
So growing up, I also played a lot of sports, but even now as an adult, I still play on some different adult leagues. For example, I play volleyball on Wednesday nights, and I think that it's important that there's a balance in your life. Definitely skills that I learned growing up playing sports and being involved with different activities, some different leadership qualities, how to work as a team. But I think I've taken that into my adulthood, and I think it's also important that you sometimes still take the time to do the things that you like and to find that balance between your work life, your home life, but also making sure that you have time for you.
I have a question for all of our guests. If there was one speech that would stick with you for life, what would it be?
I like Michelle Obama's speech. Go higher. I thought that was great.
I like Obama's speech myself.
Gosh, skip me and go to you.
There's a speech. I mean, a lot of Obama speeches are amazing. There's a speech that President Bill Clinton once gave where he said, there's nothing that's bad about America that can't be overpowered by what's good about America. And I think about that a lot. When you hear news, when you watch the news these days, you're on Facebook, social media, you see bad stuff that you don't agree with or you don't think is the right direction, either with friends, with family, in your community, in the country, in the world. I always think of that there's a greater good out there in our community and in the world that's going to overpower whatever it is we don't like out there.
I think the speech that JFK gave about asking what we can do for our country, not what the country can do for us, was a phenomenal speech. And I also think that President Reagan had some really phenomenal speeches when he was talking in terms of, to the Russian president to tear down the wall and create unity and peace. So I think we've been blessed with some speeches by some good men in the past, good presidents.
I have one for county executor. How did you use leadership to do your job every day?
How do I use leadership to do my job every day? That's a great question. And get ready, because I'm about to ask you the same question as soon as I finish. So I just want to give you a little warning so you have some time to think. But one thing you learn really quickly in my job is that leadership isn't about me, it's about all of us. And so when I'm talking to our police force, for example, 386 fine women and men, I tell them it's not just about me, it's about us. And when I say us, I'm not just talking about 386 police officers. I'm talking about all of us in this room. And I'm talking about all of us in the city of Wilmington and all of us in the county and really across the state working together to make sure we live in safe communities where we take care of each other, where we're secured. And that's pretty much true in everything we do, where my leadership is about our leadership. That when you think about who's your boss at work, right? Who is your boss? Who do you report to? I report to all of you. I report to everyone in this room. When I'm driving on the street and I'm looking around at people, those are all my bosses. And I got to make sure that we're all leading. We're all finding a path forward as a community so that our children and our children's children can have a better county and a better country. Your turn.
I like I like to use leadership because like when people are being mean, I like stand up for them because I don't like when other people are not being good and nice to other parents.
Very
And
good.
I have a question for Miss.
I mean, let's let Anthony and Addison answer as well. So how do you use leadership, Anthony, in your life?
Like when people are bullying, like I stand up for them and don't let them.
Speak louder, please.
Like when people are getting bullied, like I help them and I don't let them get bullied. And
I use leadership every day. I use it by getting involved and by not only speaking my mind, but also accepting how others feel and how others see things. And I definitely like to collaborate. I feel like a big part of leadership is collaboration and cooperation and teamwork. And I feel like when a team unites, things get done. And the best part about being a leader is also being a follower. You don't want to be someone who is a ruler, but someone that is able to get along well easily with others. So I use my leadership every day by cooperating with others and collaborating, but also speaking my mind to help things get done and get accomplished for the better.
And I also have a question for Miss Bramble. Why did you like to help kids?
I think that you guys are going to be the ones taking care of us old guys someday. So I know, I answered it for you, but I can think of something else for her too, because I think there's a lot of different things you can say for that. I think that, the more, like County Executive said, the more we can help you guys to be, receive a good education and to be kind and to say wonderful things like about standing up to things that aren't right and being good people, I think if we help children, you guys are going to rule the world someday and make it a better place than it is right now. I'll say one other thing, just in terms of what Addison said about leadership and everything. I think you spoke that beautifully. And there's one comment that I feel the same way, and there's one thing, it's written on my wall in my office, and it says, seek first to understand, then be understood. And I think if we all kind of did that, there'd be a lot more, peaceful relations and everything. So I think that was great.
This question may be a little bit thought-provoking, but for all the panelists, if you could ever go back in time and spend a day with a historical figure, who would it be and why?
I want to spend a day with Martin Luther King because what I see now is that there are very few leaders who stick their neck out, who something might not be in their interest. They might be putting themselves at risk, but they do it for the greater good. It might make them unpopular, but they stand up and say it because it's the right thing to do. And when I think back through history, he's one person that sticks out that made a personal decision to do that, and we're all better off because of it. I mean, this room that we're in today, we may not be sitting here where we are today if not for that one person who passed away 50 years ago now. And so it's incredible to think about the impact that that one person had.
I'll say, I think it'd be interesting to spend a day with Winston Churchill. I mean, I think what he had to do for his country and for the odds that were stacked against him, that he just did unbelievable things and brought people together and helped many different countries at a time of very difficult turmoil. You ready? Okay. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching A Child's Point of View. I want to say special thank you to our guests tonight, Newcastle County Executive, Mr. Matt Meyer, Ms. Terry Cutler from MedExpress, Nelson Guy, and Ms. Diana Bramble from the Madison Adoption Agency. And I'd like to thank Margaret Guy, who has the Stop the Violence prayer chain. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again in September.